Hello, hello, good day from wherever you are watching us today. You're all welcome to our session today. You're welcome. So just say hello, say hi. Let us know you are here. You're all welcome to our session for today. You're welcome. So my name is Chioma Odikolo. So where are you streaming from? Where are you joining us? You're welcome. Yes, I believe we're all going to have a good time. So you're welcome. My name is Chioma Odikolo and you're welcome to the Renewed Parent Academy. You're welcome to our session for today. So usually we'll have our session on Wednesday, but tomorrow being Wednesday will not be possible. So we decided to just do it today because we need to get it done so we can all learn. We don't have to pause or stop our growth. So we have to do what we have to do. So you're welcome. So in our academy, the Renewed Parent Academy, we've been studying this book called Grit. This is it by Angela Duckworth. And we've been learning how we can build our grit, how we can be able to stay true as parents, to the very end, not giving up, not stopping, how we can also teach our children how to build grit and how we can help our children build their grit muscle. So today we're going to be learning something from this book that says growing grit from the inside out. So how can we as parents grow our grit from inside out? How can we grow our grit from within? How can we stay true to the very end, not necessarily waiting for an external factor to motivate us or to be a source of our motivation? How can we motivate ourselves from within? How can we persevere to the end? How can we be committed to our goals to the very end from within, not just waiting for the external motivation? So we're going to learn how we can do that. So Angela Duckworth argues that grit is not just something you have. So grit is not just something you have. And as I said earlier, grit is passion plus perseverance, ability to stay true to the end, ability to stay true and committed to your goal. So Angela Duckworth argues that grit is not just something you have or we have as parents. It's something we can grow, and it's something that begins internally. So grit is not just something that you say, oh, I have grit as a parent, I can persevere. It's something that we have. It's something that we can grow. So grit can be grown, grit can be worked on. So you can work on yourself to improve, probably to be more perseverant, to be more patient, to be more committed to your goal. So even if you've been that person that, okay, you always give up easily, you don't wait till the end, it is still possible to work on yourself, because grit is something that can be grown. Grit is something that can be worked on. Grit is something that begins from within. Now, in this book, the author outlined how we can begin to grow our grit from within. How can we grow our grit from inside of us, not necessarily waiting for the external factors? And she mentioned 4 things we're going to talk about. The 4 ways we can grow our grit from within. Number 1 is interest. Number 2 is practice. Number 3 is purpose. And number 4 is hope. Now, these concepts are not just standalone concepts. They are the stages that can help us in the development of our long-term passion, in the development of our long-term perseverance. They are the stages that will help us to get to that point of staying true to the end, staying committed to our goals, staying committed to our vision, staying true to that project that seems so difficult. So we're going to learn, how does interest help us to stay true to the very end? Now, passion doesn't arrive fully formed. Most times, passion doesn't arrive fully formed. Passion is discovered. Passion is nurtured. So even as a parent, even if you have a passion about something or you're passionate about something, you have to discover it, because you can be passionate about something and you're not even aware that this is what you're passionate about, or you're not even aware that this is your passion. So passion is discovered, and passion is nurtured and refined over time. So the passion we have, the passion you have as a parent, that thing you feel it's passionate to you, it has to be discovered, it has to be nurtured, and it has to be refined over time. So over time, you constantly need to work on yourself to refine your passion. Just the same way we like our children to improve on their talent, to do their schoolwork, to take their assignment, that is the same way we need to also work on ourselves, on our passion. Now, interest is the spark. Now, interest is the feeling of curiosity. Interest is the feeling of enjoyment. And interest is the feeling of fascination. So interest is the spark. So the writer of this book, Angela Duckworth, she says that grit begins with deep interest. So for us to be gritty at something, for us to be able to persevere till the end, for us to be passionate and wait towards our long-term goal, to work towards it, we have to put in grit. And grit begins with deep interest. So it must come from us, a genuine desire to do something. So for you to be perseverant at something, for you to be able to do something to the very end, you must have the interest to do it. So grit starts from you. Grit begins with a genuine interest to do something. You're not doing it for applause. You're not doing it for people to tell you, oh, well done. But you're doing it because it resonates with you. You're doing it because you're interested in doing it. So interest often develop, most times we develop interest, or the interest of our children often develop in childhood, and need freedom and exposure to thrive. So our interest most times develop in our childhood, but it doesn't just stop there. We also need freedom and exposure for this interest of ours to thrive. So for you to persevere, for you to wait to the end, for you to be gritty at something, you must first of all have interest in that thing. And it doesn't just stop there. You have to expose this interest. You have to be able to work on this interest as well for you to be able to achieve, or to be persevere, or to wait to the end, or to commit yourself to the end, or to the end of a particular project or task you're doing. Now, most times as parents, we play a crucial role in supporting the discovery process of our children. Most times you don't force them. Most times, if you want your child to learn something, you have to teach, or you have to get to this point of the child understanding that I have to be interested in this thing. That is one of the ways grit is formed. For you to persevere, for you to be committed to something, you have to tell yourself that you are interested in doing it. Then you can't force someone to be passionate. Even we as parents, we can't force ourselves to be passionate about something. We can only fan the flame. So for you to be gritty, for you to be committed to persevere at anything, you can only fan the flame you already have, which starts from your interest. You cannot force passion on someone. You cannot force passion on yourself. You can only fan that flame that starts from the interest you have about that thing. So that is one thing we need to find out. So the question we should ask ourselves as parents, one of our roles as parents is to build this grit muscle in our children. So the environment we are raising our children, does it support them to be gritty? Does it support them to persevere to the end? Does it support them to stay committed to their goal? Now, our home environment, is it filled up with opportunities? Is it filled up with opportunities for them to be committed, to persevere? That is the question we should ask ourselves. So our focus as parents is to teach our children, to first of all teach ourselves and to model interest in whatever we are doing. Likewise, our children, we should teach them to first of all have interest, to develop interest for them to build in their grit muscle. Then the other thing we'll be studying on how we can build grit from inside is practice. Now, effort counts twice. Now, effort beats talent when talent doesn't try. So when you say you're talented on something or about something, it's fine. But effort beats talent when talent doesn't try. So when you say you're talented and you don't try out something, or you say you're talented, I'm very good at this thing, I don't need to practice, I don't need to do more practice. The truth is that when someone else puts in more effort, now when you that is talented don't try, effort will definitely beat that person that doesn't try, that has effort and doesn't try. But what kind of effort actually works? That is the question we should ask ourselves. Now, the author Angela Duckworth introduces us the idea of deliberate practice. In this book called Grit, which we're studying, we're exposed to this idea called deliberate practice. And what is deliberate practice? It is intensely focused work to improve specific weaknesses. So for us to build in grit from within, we have to practice, and we have to deliberately practice. And when I say deliberately practice, I mean intensely focusing our work so that we build our strength and we work on our weaknesses. It's not just about showing, it's about improving on our weaknesses. It's about knowing that, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. I'm going to focus on my strengths while I work on my weaknesses. So that is how we can build in grit from within. Practice. It is important for us to practice. The truth is that even when you're good at something, you need practice to get you to be so good. So when you say you're talented at something and you don't put in the practice, the truth is that efforts, you don't put in the effort will always beat talent, even when talent don't try or where talent don't try. And in this book, we're made to understand that for you to be skillful at anything, you need to put in the talent and effort. So even if you're talented as a parent at anything, you have to put in the effort, because effort counts as twice. Now, mastery is not a one-time event, but a series of small wins over time. So for us to be mastery at something, it's not just a one-time event, it's a series of our small wins over time. So the question we should ask ourselves, are you putting in practice? Are you putting in effort in that thing you want to do, in that thing you want to achieve? Because practice is not all about being perfect when you practice, but we must learn that when we practice with purpose, we make progress. So do you practice with purpose? Because when you practice with purpose, you make progress. And grit grows when we embrace our challenges as part of our mastery. So while you're in that process of practicing, putting in the effort, there will be challenges. But the thing is that grit will always grow when we embrace our challenges as part of our mastery. So for us to build in grit from within, number one, we said we have to have interest at whatever we want to do. Number two, you have to put in the practice. And number three is purpose, the power of why. So why are you doing what you're doing? You want to do something as a parent. Why are you parenting the way you are parenting? What is your why? The power of why. Are you able to answer your why? Now, talent may get us noticed, but purpose is what keeps us while going, even when no one is clapping. So what is your why? What is your purpose of doing that thing? So even when no one is clapping, even when no one is applauding, even when no one is saying well done, even when no one is seeing, what is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you parenting your child the way you're parenting? Why are you doing what you're doing? That is the power of why. And we must be able to answer this why for us to give in our best, for us to persevere, for us to build in this muscle of grit. We must be able to answer our why. Now, purpose is the conviction. Thank you for joining us. Please say hello, say hi, let us know you're here. Now, purpose is the conviction that your work matters to others. So you're convinced that your work matters to others, even if no one is seeing, even if no one is applauding. That is why we said, what is the why? What is the purpose? The purpose of you doing that thing. Why are you doing it? Because you have to be so convinced in doing what you're doing to the point that even when no one is appreciating or when no one is seeing what you're doing, but you keep on doing it. So we must always answer the question of why. It's the shift from I enjoy this to I'm making a difference. So that is purpose. You're not just saying I enjoy to do this thing, but you're now looking at I'm making a difference. That is why I have to be committed in this thing. That is why we must always answer the question why. Why are you doing what you're doing? That project you're doing, why are you doing it? You know, the way you're parenting your children, the way you're raising your children, why are you raising your children that way? Now, passion without purpose burns out. When you're passionate but you don't have the purpose, it burns out. Purpose anchors passion in something bigger than ourselves. So we have to combine our passion alongside our purpose. Now, parents that have grit often describe their work as a calling. So what is your why? We must always, at every point in time, answer our why. Now, purpose is discovered over time. Purpose is discovered in the minute of things. You know, like my coach will always say, purpose is not something you're waiting for. You're actually living in purpose. Every day you're living in purpose, because purpose is discovered in your daily experiences. Purpose is discovered in your daily exposure. Purpose is discovered in your reflection. So why are you doing what you're doing? That is the question. We must be able to answer this question for us to be able to build our grit muscle from within. Now, as a parent, purpose, we must always remember that purpose isn't always grand. Purpose is not just in the best of the moments. It's not just in that grand celebration. It could be something as simple as parenting, serving your family with love. It could be something as simple as doing your work, doing your 9 to 5 job. It could be in the little of things. So purpose must not be grand. It could even be the way you respond emotionally. It could be the way you react towards your child, probably when your child is throwing a tantrum, or the way you connect with your child or your spouse. This is purpose. Purpose is not in the ground of things. Most of us, we think that purpose is something so big. It's in the ground. It's in that big celebration. That is where I'm going to discover my purpose. But the truth is that purpose, while living in purpose, every day you're living in purpose. In that place you're working, you're living in purpose. In that place, as you're raising your children, you're living in purpose. Every day we are living in purpose. But as I said earlier, for us to build in our grit muscle as parents, we must always understand our why. Then the fourth way we can build in our muscle from within to be able to persevere and stay true is hope. Now, grit grows when you believe you can change things. So our hope in whatever we're doing is very important. Hope isn't just optimism, it's the gritty belief that your effort can and will make a difference. So hope is the belief that your efforts will make a difference. So in whatever you're doing, in raising your children, do you believe that what you're doing is going to make a difference? Do you believe that your parenting, what you're doing, is going to get you that result you want to see at the end? Or are you just doing it because I just have to do it? So we must always put in hope for us to build in this grit muscle. Now, gritty hope is about perseverance. So perseverance in the face of setbacks. So there are setbacks all around you, but you still persevere. It's the mindset that says, I can keep going, I can improve. That is hope. That is gritty hope. The mindset that says, I can keep going, I can improve. So we must always have hope in whatever we are doing. We must always be optimistic in that thing you're doing. Are you optimistic? Do you believe what you're doing is working? Now, gritty people interpret failure as a challenge to overcome, not a sign to give up. So when you encounter failure, do you see it as a challenge? Do you give up? Or do you see it as a feedback? Now, for us to build in our grit muscle, we must understand that failure is not there for us to give up, but failure is a sign for us to continue to improve, for us to take our feedback, for us to take our lessons. That is what we need to do as parents. Now, hope is a skill. We must be able to teach ourselves and to teach our children to be able to go through adversity with hope, not crumble under each adversity, because grit grows in the soil of resilience. Grit grows in the soil of resilience. So as a parent, are you resilient? Are you perseverant? Are you hopeful? Do you have interest in that thing you're doing? Are you passionate about what you're doing? What is the why behind what you're doing? These are the ways we can build in our grit muscle from within. And that is it for us today. I believe you've got one or two from our book review. So if you've not been joining us in the review yet, it's going to be on our YouTube page, The Renewed Parent Academy. You can go there, subscribe, share this video, and let us learn how to build in grit muscle, how to be able to persevere, how to be able to stay true till the very end. So thank you. Just relax, get a cup of water. We're going to move in for our webinar. Just relax and just stay with us. So thank you for joining us for this session. I really do appreciate your time. All right, bye.